What's the most you've earned in a year?
400,000.
Okay, bless you. 400. Where do you want your income to be?
My income, I want it to be, that was with the team. So personally, I probably earn 150 to 200,000 a year.
Okay.
I want my income to be 50,000 a month.
Okay. So how do you do this? First of all, forget about I did it with a team. Let's not rationalize this. I have to get you obsessed with 50,000 a month. Everything you think of is 50,000 a month. And when you auto-suggest, it's got to be, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm earning 50,000 or more every month, and I love it. I keep getting better at what I do. I'm more and more confident, and you do that over and over. But everywhere you see yourself behaving like the person who's earning 50,000. If you were earning 50,000 a month right now, how would you behave?
I would be making more phone calls, not doing some of the paperwork and stuff that I'm doing now. I would be face-to-face with more people.
Okay.
And there's just a lot of things I'm doing I shouldn't be doing, so a lot of eliminating.
Okay.
So that I can get in front of people and talk to them.
Well, if you're not selling, you're not going to earn 50,000.
Right.
Okay? We're not helping anyone until we sell them. So if you look at what you just told me, we've got to create a game plan for you that says, I'm going to be in front of X amount of people or more. I am going to outsource the paperwork. I'm going to practice my sales presentation. And for you, the deliberate practice for you is confidence. You're letting the results control you, so it's killing your confidence. Okay, that's what I would work on with you for deliberate practice. So you do it before you're ready, but I want you walking in every meeting with that vibration that I'm a dog, that I am the best at what I do. You walk in, they're going to want to buy from you. I promise you that.
I have no problem with getting people to list with me at all. I just have to get out there and do that. That is where I have to.
You're not doing the right things.
I'm not doing the right thing.
Yeah, so from now on, we do the right things. Because why? Her want demands it, and if she doesn't do that, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So we never justify our wants like Kathy just did. Okay, we never justify it. Okay, we own it because your want is going to create abundance. You don't need to justify it to me. You don't need to justify it to Ryan. You just tell me what you want. We accept it. We accept it. Now, until you accept it, you're in attachment. You are in attachment. So that's why we don't just accept it. We radically accept it. What does radically accept mean? It means this is what I'm doing. I don't care the results right now. This is what I'm doing no matter what. Now, the universe responds to our deepest commitments. Now, that is a commitment. That is a commitment. Kathy, why don't we put you on the hook? Okay, why don't we agree that I will put a game plan for you to get you to 50,000 a month in the next 6 months. But for the next 24 weeks, you're going to do exactly what I tell you. Okay?
Yes.
And I want you to text me every night.
Okay.
Every night. But I need you to be honest with me. Don't just say it if you didn't do it. And we will put your top 20% of activities, and I guarantee you, you're going to be at 50,000 a month.
I believe you absolutely are.
Yeah. So most people are not allowing their goal to be their purpose. Your goal is your purpose. You may have a bigger purpose. You may have found, like I found what I love to do, but that's not how I started this. I had a bunch of goals that led me to my purpose. But they don't surrender to work on their goal. They don't allow it. They keep looking at what is my life purpose. And everyone comes and tells me, oh, I want to change the world. The world doesn't need changing. You need changing. Like everyone is telling me that. The world doesn't need changing. The world is going to be here when we're gone. Like that's what's going to happen. So we got to get authentic with our why. Too many people are lying about their why. They're telling themselves the why is not their why. People are afraid to admit, my why is to earn a lot of money. Why? That's what you want. Well, it's really, I shouldn't be talking about money, right? People are so uncomfortable talking about money, that's why they don't have any money. You have to get comfortable with the idea of money. And it's good for you to earn a lot of money because that means you've helped a lot of people. But most people don't connect the two. Now, once you turn your goal into a love story, now we've let go. Anytime you're attached, your goal is not a love story. When you're in love with somebody, they're always on your mind. So you don't have to wonder what disciplines to do when you turn your goal into a love story. So that's what you want to do. It is a love story. It's always on your mind. Now, I told you this the other day. Every significant breakthrough is a result of a courageous, that means I'm all in, deviation from your old way of thinking. I am fusing 24 months in the future. Who is that person? How does that person think? How does that person act? How does that person dress? They definitely discipline their thinking. They are so good at accepting and rejecting ideas from their future self. Now, we have to make a definite decision that you are the best in the world, that Kathy's going to go to the top, and her top is $50,000 a month, and she has to believe in herself before she's ready. So when the results keep for the next 3 weeks in her face, she doesn't let it bother her at all. You don't even shrink for 1 second. Because your mind, I promise you this, Kathy, your mind is going to say, is this really going to work? Is this really going to work? You know, that's what it's going to say. I promise you, when I started doing this work, I thought I was lying to myself. I thought I was delusional. And then I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And then everything broke free. And if you continuously build the right processes, but turn your processes into verbs where you are actively involved in your processes, emotionally involved in your processes, that's when you're going to win by default. Now, I told you this, and we got to create a kick-ass elimination list. Now, Bob, you sent me like 100 things. I mean, that's a bit much. So here's what you're going to find with the elimination. Here's what you're going to find. A lot of them relate to each other. So once you let go of one of them, you're going to let go of all of them. You're going to let go of all of them. I was working with Nicole on hers. I said, these 4 are all connected. You just need to let go of one of them. So that's what you're going to find. But let's temper it down. We don't eliminate. I want your elimination to be 90 days. What you're committed to eliminate 90 days, I think 3 things are going to do you a lot of good. Not 33 things. Your 3 most important things you want to eliminate, because going 10x requires completely new habits, and it requires letting go to 80% of your old life. Now, a lot of people get confused with 10x. They think 10x just means income. It doesn't mean income. It means your emotional state. You take care of the emotional state, you take care of the beliefs, you take care of the behaviors. That's how your income is going to raise significantly. But a lot of people just look at 10x and think income. That could be if that's their 10x goal. But I'm more interested in my 10x emotional state, my 10x commitments, because that's what creates the income. And we worked on income a lot yesterday. We worked on it a lot. And income is just based on value. It's based on your ability to do it, getting better and better at what you do. Now, to really do this, it's going to be 90 days at a time of deep, real internal work. It's not the fake work. It's not just listening to podcasts, which I hope you listen to ours. But it is not just listening to podcasts. It's about what you implement. It's not just doing meditation. What are you doing with your eyes open? What's that?
Living like that person.
Yes. Yes, it's in the doing. The growing is in the doing. It's always in the doing. It's not in the peripheral work. So you must begin to think. What does that mean? You think with swagger. You think without effort. You think with confidence. We have to know, what do we want more than anything else in the world? What is that one want? Without knowing exactly what we want, we're living life completely unconsciously. We're living it based on the law of averages. You have to let yourself dream. You have to let yourself expand. You don't have to know where you're going, but you really got to know what you really want. What is it that you really want? Keep asking yourself, what do I really want? And then when you have a want, say, is this what I really want, or is this what I think I can achieve? Am I settling, or am I going after my want? Am I really understanding, is this want worthy of me? Not am I worthy of it, is it worthy of me? Because I have a standard, I am changing my life, this is where I'm headed, I have to know, and it all starts with a want. You have to start thinking. We are not thinking when we're letting circumstances control us. We're letting the outside world think for us. I'm not thinking if I'm letting Lorraine think for me. I'm allowing Lorraine to dump her programming inside of me. I don't want to do that. I want to create significant subjective control where I decide what goes inside of me. And that's where you're thinking when you get so good at accepting and rejecting. But this is what's going to kill attachment. Now, how does attachment come in? It always comes in from your ego. Your ego goes and says, Arlen's better than me. So what does it do? It tries to compare. So the ego comes in the conscious mind. I accept that idea, so I'm comparing myself to everybody else. What else? The ego comes in and says, I need to be perfect before I do anything. Perfectionism. The ego comes in and says, hey, let's go and set smaller goals. The ego comes in and rationalizes. So anytime you're doing this, your ego is running you. The ego works with the paradigm through the five senses and starts getting you not to think. So what we have to do is quiet the mind, because when the mind is racing, guess what happens? Subconscious shuts off. Your analytical, it says just leave it to the conscious mind, and the analytical mind is the gatekeeper. It's right between the conscious and subconscious mind. Then you look at when your mind is quiet, when you know that you know, where you're so calm, that's when you do the best results. You know, when you were waiting for a deal, you just knew it was coming in. You were like so calm about it. You're like, you know what? I put the best offer out. We connected so well. I just knew that I knew, right? That was when you were calm. I always use this with athletes because you could watch an athlete perform and they're in their head. They're in their head. They're hesitating. They don't want to take the shot, right? And then you could look at an athlete like the rim is like so big for them. Whatever they shoot, they're off their back foot. You know, but that's because they've connected to their genius. We've got to start understanding our automatic mind is what we have to be coming from. The only way we could come from that mind is killing off the ego. Killing off the ego. I was listening, I think I told you guys this the other day, but I was listening to the podcast, and the creator of Whole Foods, he said, my life changed when I killed off my ego. And I said, isn't that the truth? But to kill off the ego, we've got to build awareness. We've got to start knowing when the ego is driving the bus. When we rationalize. Never compare to anybody else. That's what Carlos is doing has none of my business to what I'm doing. I'm running my race, he's running his race. So it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. A lot of people bring their self-esteem down because they're comparing themselves to somebody else. The only person you should be comparing yourself is who you were yesterday. That's the only person you're competing against. Now, the ego doesn't like that. The ego does not like you going after big ideas. The ego did not like you coming in this room. I promise you this. Why? Because its job is to defend its operating system. Its operating system is comfort. It is comfort. You guys got to burn this in your mind. It is going to defend its operating system. Why do you think so many people will love to go to meditation, but they don't love to take action? Meditation, I do it every day. I think it's great. But it's one part. It calms your mind, but you want to be meditating when your eyes are open. You want to be that calm when you're taking action. You want to be that calm when you're urgent. So we have to understand what happens, because if the gatekeeper is in the way, you're willing everything. You are willing all your results. Yeah, the subconscious mind just shuts the door. It shuts the door because what does the subconscious mind work? Emotion. But most people are trying to create world-class results willing it. You can't will it. You've got to work in all three parts of the mind: the conscious, the subconscious, and the body. But if I am working harder, then I'm willing my results. So Mark, that's a good one for you. That's a good one for you. All you are is on a treadmill. And we have to get better at understanding when the ego is controlling us. And that's why I keep telling you all week, I want you to treat winning and losing with the same energy. Because guess what? When you lose, I know it's not fun, but when you lose, you're going to create bigger wins. If you don't lose enthusiasm, if you don't tie it to your identity. And guess what the ego loves to do? Tie it to your identity. See, you're not good enough. See, you're not good enough. And then you never rejected that idea, so you accepted it, so it keeps bringing you down. Keeps bringing you down. Imagine you said to yourself, I didn't get this result, who cares? I'm going to put my foot on the gas, I'm going to let go, I'm going to use my higher faculties, and I am going to take the next action, the next action. See, you don't allow the ego. You enter in the spirit. If you're not in the spirit of what you want, you're in the spirit of what you don't want. So whichever way, it's going to come. Yeah.
So if I understand right, so like say it's when you get in the habit of doing now, you're basically not working with your analytical mind. And if you get in the habit of like, okay, I'm going to do it now, I'm going to give myself 30 seconds to do it, that's when you stop like...
I want you to give yourself 2 seconds to do it, not 30. See, 30 is going to turn into 90. 90 is going to turn into 2 hours. That's what happens. Doing it now is not 30 seconds. Doing it now is now. But here's the great part of this. When you're in action, you're never in fear. You can't be in action and fear at the same time, because your conscious mind can only think of one thought at a time. Your subconscious mind can think of millions of thoughts. So we want to get really good at getting into action. But we've got to stop willing our results. You know who's willing it. I'm just going to do it myself. I'm not going to rely on my team. I'm just going to do it myself. Right, Kim? Yeah? So you're willing it.
This combination of calming the mind and acting right away reminds me of, I found like my best star associate. I was meditating. It came to me that she was who I should reach out to. It came out of meditation, and I was like, I started to pause. I was like, nope, do it now.
Yeah.
It was 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Texted her, ended up on the phone for 2 hours, and then hired one of my best.
That's what happens. So you got in the spirit, not of the problem, of the solution. So if you would have done it the inaccurate way, you would have waited and overthought and, well, let me make sure it's perfect.
There were reasons not to, but I was like, nope.
You only need 1, 2.
Yep.
You only need one reason to do it, because it's in harmony with your goal. And you trusted your intuition, and your intuition is opposite of your ego, and that's why you won. So let's look at this. We have to understand how our higher faculties work. We have a mind, and how you're using your conscious mind is what is creating your environment. So if everyone looks at their results right now, they will know how they've been using their mind on a conscious level, because you can't get to the subconscious without the conscious mind. So what happens is we'll always have that gatekeeper in the middle. Our job is to detach from the gatekeeper. How do we detach from the gatekeeper? we have to let go. How do we let go? With our higher faculties. So, you have 3 parts of your body. You have conscious, subconscious, and a body. So we want to work in harmony with all parts. Now, you have these senses that are tied to your conscious mind. See, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Now, your senses are going to be the last part of you that experience your goal. Your senses will be the last part of you that experience your goal. Now, they're tied, and your paradigm is not dumb. It knows how sensitive your senses are, so it's going to tell Dave, play it safe. See, it's not working. And somebody's going to come to tell Dave, you're doing so good. Why are you going to Scottsdale all the time, right? Like, why are you coming here? That's what it's going to happen.
I can give you her phone number.
Yeah. Yeah. I've talked to them before. But what happens is, in our conscious mind, we have access to our higher faculties. And what we have to do is understand how to use these faculties. So we have our memory, our perception, our will, our imagination, our intuition, and our reasoning. Most people are not even aware they have these. Now, James, since you're new to me, you may not be aware of this, okay? Were you aware of it before you started following me?
Not really.
Yeah, no, most people don't. But these are our superpowers, and we're either using them consciously or unconsciously. We are using them every day. Most people are using them against themselves. And now, so what happens, they're not even aware of it, so they're not intentionally strengthening them. And all of you with these faculties have 1 or 2 that are just automatically strong. So you don't need to be super deliberate in your practice with these, with the ones that are already strong. You're already using them. Like Jenna doesn't need to work on her will. That's already a part of her. That is a part of Jenna, so I wouldn't tell her to work on her will. But we have to understand why they're important. Our memory is very inaccurate. We remember things based on where we are in the present moment, not based on how they really happen. So how to use your memory, you want to go and tap in and activate your success mechanism. When was I successful? What is an irrevocable committed decision? It is a decision that you're going to do whatever it takes, not what's convenient. And if you want to achieve the life that you really want, that is up here on that frequency, you can't keep making decisions the same way you've always made them if you want to grow. You have to act on the decision within 30 seconds. If you don't deserve to win. Every time you don't make a decision within that 30 seconds, your paradigm comes in, and then you let the idea stay stillborn. There's a big decision in front of you to really change your life, or there's a decision to conform to your paradigm and not allow your desire to take root. That's a decision of itself. A commitment is non-negotiable. Everybody's done things non-negotiable. They've drawn a line in the sand. They said, this is what I'm doing, and they've done it. If you're going to quantum leap in 2024, you're going to have to let go of 80% of what you did in 2023. Like, we did a mental rehearsal yesterday. Before I go into any mental rehearsal, I want to get in the vibration when I was most grateful. And I always think about when my kids were born. So before I ever go into mental rehearsal, I think about the time my kids were born, because that was the moment. I've never experienced gratitude like that before, so I always go there. It's very easy for me to get in that accelerated vibration. But then we look at our will. Our will is our ability to hold one idea on the screen of our mind without any distraction. Without any distraction. Well, the will is the best work habit that you can have. Like, most people have really bad work habits. They're distracted throughout the whole day. So if you know you're distracted, then you want to, for the next 30 days, work on your will. You say, I'm just going to lock in on my will. How do I lock in on my will? How do I strengthen my will? Meditation, breathing exercises. I had a client that I just had her do breath work. And I just had her breathe in for 4 seconds, breathe out for 1, and I started it with 5 minutes. Then we built it up to 30 minutes. And she said, I've never been more productive. Well, all I did was strengthen her attention. That's all I did. So I strengthened her will. Then you look at reasoning. Why is reasoning so important? Reasoning is what creates our ability to think. Like, we think with our reasoning. That's where you're accepting or rejecting ideas. That's where you're creating a much bigger image. That's where you're choosing the certain ideas. That's how you do things in a certain way. Now, most of you, just based on a few days, have told me, I'm letting present results control me, right? So you're letting your reasoning faculty really obsess about that result. Then you look at your intuition. Your intuition is your sixth sense. I know that I know. And your perception is your ability to think and see whatever you want. Perception, if anyone wants to change their discipline and attitude, you do it with perception. And then you look at your imagination, which we worked on deeply yesterday. Your imagination will take you everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. Now, what I want you to understand is that's how you change your program, is through these higher faculties. So that's how you let go, is through these higher faculties. But you don't work on all 6 at once. You work on 1 at a time for 30 days. For 30 days, you're going to work on 1. Like Kathy, we're going to work on will with you. We're going to work on will. You know, Arlen, we would work on will with you. Okay? So your goal will tell you which one that you want to work on. And what happens is when you do this, the new program changes, it alters your vibration, and you attract what you want. You attract exactly what you want into your life. But that's how you let go. You let go with these faculties. So if you're attached, how do you let go within a second? How you let go within a second is you take a 5-minute break. I'm walking away. I know because my energy is depleted. I know I'm focusing on what I don't want. We all know when we're focusing on what we don't want. And you take a 5-minute break. You walk away. You take a 5-minute break and you come back. And then when you come back, you're hyper intentional for the next hour. This is what I'm going to do. The results you cannot control. You cannot control the timeline. You could speed up the timeline by the intensity of your thinking. So we have to lock in on exactly building these 1 at a time. And build it for 30 days. And if you haven't built in 30 days, then do it for another 30 days. But focus on 1. But here's the beautiful part of these faculties. When you're working on your reasoning, you're working on your will at the same time. When you're working on your imagination, you're working on perception at the same time. It's a secondary faculty that is being worked on at the same time. But pick the one that your goal demands. Let's say somebody doesn't have a lot of courage right now, okay? So they would work on their perception of themselves. They change the picture and see themselves courageous. Now, exponential growth is so deceptive. I told you your 5 senses are going to be the last part of you that see it. But you are in exponential growth more than you think. And it's no different than the bamboo tree analogy. The bamboo tree, you plant the seed. It takes 5 years, nothing happens. But under the soil, everything's happening. Under the soil, everything's happening. And then in 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet in the air. But you are building your soil if you're in delayed gratification. If you're not seeing the results, but you keep doing it over and over and over again. Great entrepreneurs are fabulous in understanding delayed gratification. What else? You're inspired by your daily goal. You're constantly inspired. You're in the spirit of it. You are obsessed with deliberate practice. You pick that one skill, that one belief that you create deliberate practice to every 90 days. And then your processes are building your roots. Your processes are building your roots. Now remember, one of the most important processes is action. And I'm going to inundate this in you. 3 actions towards your goal will create 3 wins a day. 3 wins a day.
Say that one more time.
3 actions towards your goal is going to create 3 big wins a day. 5 days a week, that's 15 wins. 4.3 weeks in a month, that's 97.5 wins. Or 94.5 wins, excuse me. And then over 12 weeks, that's 197.5 wins. If you had 197.5 wins, Mark, over 12 weeks.
You gotta hit your goal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, just because just all the little baby steps that you're doing every day. What is it again? Absence of evidence isn't evidence.
Isn't the absent? That's
3 actions toward your daily goal.
daily goal. Say that again.
3 actions towards your daily goal. You said.
Will create 3 wins.
Okay.
So one of the most important processes, everything comes from the goal. So when I create my actions, I was working with Heidi this morning, and she asked me what I do. I said, I'm only focusing on today. I don't focus on what actions I'm taking tomorrow. I said, I create, today is the most important day of my life. I can't create tomorrow's results. I can only create today's results. So I look at what my daily goal is, because I know my big goal, then I break it up into my daily goal. And if I hit my daily goals, I'm going to win my weeks, I'm going to win my months, I'm going to win my quarters, and I'm going to win my year. But too many people don't take enough reasons and urgency of how important the day is. So they're shrinking every day, or some days they're really high, some days they're low. Some days they're motivated, some days they're not. But what if I told you the biggest thing that's going to build your character and build a world-class life is when you're not motivated and you still do it. When you're motivated and do it, it's not very hard, but it's when you're not motivated. When you're not motivated, that's why the growth mindset is so different than the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is, can I afford not to do this? The fixed mindset is, what is it going to cost me? So every time you're not doing your processes, you are killing your seeds. Every time you're not taking action, you are killing your seeds. And so there's a reason why people achieve goals, and there's a reason why they don't. It's easy to do, easy not to do. So this is where discipline comes in.